President John F. Kennedy reminded us that a nation reveals itself not only by the men it produces, but also by those it honors and remembers. Tonight, we rededicate a memorial and remember one of our great American heroes, Torbert Hart Macdonald. We are pleased to have with us for this tribute our very own United States Senator Ed Markey, our State Senator Jason Lewis, State Representative Paul Donato, and from the City Council, President Barbara Murphy, from Ward 3, John Matheson, representing Ward 4, Ryan O'Malley, and Ward 7, Neil Anderson. Would also like to welcome our Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Charles Granson. And from the Malden Teen Enrichment Center, we have Kathy McMullen. Kathy. Joe Levine, Malden Rec Department. Joe, thank you. Principal of Malden High School, Ted Lombardi. Our Athletic Director, Charlie Conifrey. And from the school committee, Kathy Bordenau, representing Ward 7. So since 1984, this same memorial reminded all who entered City Hall about Torbert Macdonald's honorable service to his country in World War II and of his commitment as a congressman for nearly 22 years. What is truly fitting about having this ceremony today is that it also happens to be POW MIA Day. In the stands, you will notice a POW MIA chair that serves to remind us of the over 91,000 Americans who have gone missing in action since World War I. The commemorative empty seat not only symbolizes the absence of these service members, but it also assures that their sacrifice is not forgotten. I'm sure that Torbert Macdonald would indeed be proud that his fellow soldiers were also being honored. Torby, as he was known, served in the United States Navy as a PT boat commander in the Southwest Pacific Theater from 1942 to 1944 and was awarded the Silver Star Combat Award, Purple Heart, and Presidential Citation, along with many other impressive medals. He grew up in Malden on the Medford line, attended Medford High School, and captained the Medford High School football team. We've never held that against him because history notes that after he graduated, he always rooted for Malden in the traditional Thanksgiving Day game. Torby attended Harvard University, where he was captain of the football team and was the roommate and lifelong close friend of President John F. Kennedy. He graduated from Harvard Law School and served in Congress from 1955 until his death in 1976. We are fortunate that he and his wife, the actress Phyllis Brooks, chose to raise their 4 children here in Malden. The relocation of Torby's memorial resulted because of the upcoming demolition of City Hall. This seemed like the perfect location next to the memorial of his beloved father, Jack, in whose honor this very stadium is named. Jack Macdonald was the Malden High School coach when the stadium first opened, and in 1972, when it was posthumously named in his memory, Torby said that this honor to his father meant more to him than any other. During his career in Congress, Torby served as Majority Whip and as a ranking Democrat on the House Committee on Interstate and Foreign Commerce. He was often referred to as the father of public broadcasting, since he was one of the legislators primarily responsible for the Public Broadcasting Act of 1967. He was a dedicated public servant and committed to his constituents. Can't think of a better segue to now introduce you to our United States Senator Ed Markey, who actually won the election for Torby's congressional seat after a 7-candidate primary and who continues the strong legacy of dedicated public service. Ladies and gentlemen, Senator Ed Markey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you so much for doing this. Senator Jason Lewis, Paul Donato, city councilors, distinguished Malden residents, and the Macdonald family, Malden aristocracy, who, it's not an oxymoron, who are here today because that's how we viewed the Macdonalds. When I was growing up, they were our aristocracy. In 1958, I was selected by the Immaculate Conception Grammar School to represent the Catholics at the Rotary Club luncheon for the 6th grade. And it was a big honor to be that boy for the Catholics. It was the first time I ever had strawberry shortcake. All of the Malden businessmen were there. It was on the 2nd floor of the Masonic building that Jackie Brennan is right now restoring and turning into beautiful apartments. The next night, when the Malden Evening News came, my mother turned to my father because the story said Rotary Club honors Malden scholars. And my mother said, "Oh my goodness, John," to my father. Eddie was sitting next to Torbert Macdonald Jr. He was representing the public school children. And so now I was listening to my mother talk to my father at age 11 about Torbert H. Macdonald Sr., the congressman. And what a great honor it was for Eddie to be there at that luncheon. That was the beginning of my interest in politics, as my mother talked about him at that moment. Torbert H. Macdonald Jr. and Eddie Markey sitting at that table. This was a city of John Volpe, the governor, who came from Malden, one more street away that way. This was the city of George Fingold, the Attorney General of Massachusetts, in Ward 7, just 6 more streets away. But the god was Torbert Macdonald. The boy who was the greatest football player at Medford High School, although he lived on Pleasant Street in Malden, right at the intersection of West Street. He was the god. He went to Harvard. He was the captain of the Harvard football team. He was the god. And at that era, football was what this city was all about, what Medford was all about. And so for me, growing up, knowing that Torby was here was everything. At Malden Catholic, I was in the A class. There were 35 boys in the A class at Malden Catholic, just 3 blocks from here. In that class of 35 boys was Jack McGlynn Jr. and Billy Sinclair, whose mother Lucy ran Torby's office. I sat in between Jack McGlynn and Billy Sinclair every day. It was like having Torbert Macdonald in stereo in my ears as I'm growing up right here, 2 blocks away from this great football field. And so as a result of Torby, I started to read not just the sports section of the Malden Evening News about the football teams and the baseball teams of Malden Catholic and Malden High School, but I started to read about Torbert Macdonald. And David Brickman, who was the editor of that paper, decided that he would put something about Torbert Macdonald on the front page of the newspaper every single night as I am growing up, age 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. I'm reading about Torbert Macdonald, what he believes in, what he's fighting for. not just for America or the world, but for Malden, because it was put in the voice of someone from Malden and our interest. And so when I, in 1972, ran for state representative, and it was October of 72, and there's 1 week left in the campaign, and I'm coming up Hubbard Street, right over there, and I'm coming around the corner. Who is coming towards me right in front of the Giantasio house is Torbert H. Macdonald. The God is walking towards me like he's just jumped off of Mount Rushmore, coming towards me at the Giantasio house. On one side of him is Joe Crokin, and the other side of him is Chip Shushan, his Washington staff director. And they're walking towards me, and we're going to meet at the Giantasio house, right next to the Italian American Citizens Club. And Torby came over to me, and this is an incredible race against John McNeil that I'm in to win the state representative seat. And Torby walks towards me and said, "You're Ed Markey?" I said, "Yes, Congressman." And he said, "I've heard good things about you." Now, you have no idea what that meant to me, to have Torbert Macdonald say just that one sentence about me. And so, what I brought here, because I won that race, is a Malden Evening News story of March 17th, 1973, as the freshman state representative is the master of ceremonies at the Hibernian Hall St. Patrick's Night with Torbert H. Macdonald and Eddie Markey in the same picture. Now, the rest of Malden aristocracy is there that night. Father Grant, who runs the pilot, Jim Conway, Walter Kelleher, Steve McGrail, Fred Lamson. But for my mother, that's a big night. I'm the master of ceremonies at Hibernian Hall that my grandfather, Patrick Courtney, built across the street from where the Courtneys live, my mother, Christine Courtney. And so, for me, it's a great honor to be here, because I then served on the Interstate and Foreign Commerce Committee, immediately the same committee that Torby had served on. And it was almost as if I was in my second term in Congress, because I understood every telecommunications issue. I understood every energy issue, every healthcare issue, every election issue that was in the committee's jurisdiction, because I read about it every single night on the front page of the Malden Evening News. So this was a great man, and he came from a great family, and his family is here tonight. And it's altogether fitting and appropriate that Torby and his father would be here side by side, honored, because they were a Malden aristocracy. They inspired an entire generation to be interested in politics. And it was far more than just Torby being roommates with Jack Kennedy, Torby being Jack Kennedy's best friend. It was Torby himself. It was the Macdonald family. It's who he was, what he represented, that made us so proud every single day. And so I am so honored to be here. I'm so glad that you're doing this, Mr. Mayor, and it is really just a special privilege and treat for me to be here once again with the Macdonald family. Thank you all so much, everybody.
Thank you, Senator. We would like to recognize some of the members from the Macdonald family who are here. We have Brian, Torby's son. Brian, good to see you. We have his wife, Christine, and daughter, Brianna. And finally, our next speaker, his daughter, Laurie McDonald.
Good evening. I think what's in my heart can best be expressed as a true gratitude and humility. I thank the senator, I thank the mayor I thank all the elected officials and other people who are here paying tribute to our father tonight. But what it says to me is that the basis of Malden, the roots of Malden, what has made Malden a special place since its inception and certainly in our lifetimes, is that it is a community that remembers the importance of its people. And by that I mean it remembers the people who are important in the broader world, but it remembers who's important, just the ordinary citizens. I think that anyone who's aware of Mayor Christensen's vision for the city and can see the initiatives that he and his people have taken to improve life for the citizens of Malden know that. I think we're all extremely proud of Senator Markey, who as congressman and now as senator has never forgotten where he came from and never forgotten the people of this city or his district, and has been dedicated as a public servant to both the greater good and the individual good of the people who elect him. That's what my father stood for, was as a public servant to actually offer service to the public. That's what he cared about. He cared about being a good team player, whether he was on an athletic team, in the war where he was a PT boat captain, or as a member of Congress. His dedication was doing the right thing for the greatest number, the greatest good for the greatest number of people. I think what's so deeply meaningful about this particular memorial is that it came from the people initially. Bill Minnie of the Italian Heritage Society and his people created the movement, if you will, to create a memorial stone for Torbert Macdonald, which was placed in front of City Hall. The fact is that Mayor Christensen and the elected officials and the good people of this city have seen fit to, in the demolishing of City Hall, remove that stone and bring it here to have it have a permanent place, as Mayor Christensen and the senator have pointed out, next to his beloved father. The quote that was given that my father said that this stadium being dedicated to his father was the most meaningful of all awards is true. It meant more to our family than I have words to express. In that same vein, allowing my father's stone to be saved and to be placed here in perpetuity is more meaningful to us than I have words to express. When my father was dying, and he had a long illness before he died, the suggestion was made that he be buried in Arlington Cemetery. And he chose instead to be here in Malden, in Holy Cross Cemetery, lying in the same crypt as his father. I would rather have a sort of living memorial where people come here and enjoy the athleticism of its youth and all the programs that Joe Levine and Laura Perez run here, whether we're talking Taekwondo or Tai Chi, I guess it is, and people using the track. This is a place of community, but it's a vibrant place, a living place, and much more cheerful place than Holy Cross Cemetery is. So happy to have this here. On behalf of my family, my brother Brian and his wife Christine and my niece Brianna, but also on behalf of my older brother Torbert Jr. and my sister Robin, who can't be here tonight, please believe me that the fact that people are willing to pay tribute to and remember a man who's been dead since 1976, it's a very long time, to have his name mean something and to have his memory mean something, to have his deeds mean something. Thank you, and thank you to the good people of Malden for your kindness and this great honor, and we appreciate it more than we can say. Thank you.
Okay, at this time, we're going to have the Macdonald family come up for the unveiling